Hello, I'm Charlene Murdoch. I am the Executive Director at the Campbell County Chamber of Commerce. Today we're talking with candidates for Campbell County School District, and we are talking with them about their positions on issues. So with me is Toni Bell. Toni is a candidate, so welcome. Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Toni, let's just get right into it. To begin with, there's just been a lot of discussion about one high school or two high schools in Gillette. We're on the cusp of needing to make some decisions on that. What is your position on sticking with one high school or going to two? And can you talk a little bit about why you feel that way?
Sure, it's interesting on this two high school thing. It's been voted in already, so it's not like it's a decision that we really should have to make moving forward. However, the public has asked a lot of questions about it. So to me, that means they're not maybe comfortable with the decision that was made, or they have questions because there's not enough transparency on how it's going to work. I personally think at this economic climate change that we're in, that we should probably put a hold on the second high school. The reason for that is it costs $1.8 million annually to have a second high school. There's lots of good positive things about having a second high school. That doesn't really make sense to me because we still have two buildings and we still have the same number of students. So why can't we structure those two buildings to work how we want them to? We could still do 912 and 912 in two separate buildings without incurring the extra $1.8 million a year in costs. The $1.8 million a year, actually it's $1.4 million a year in costs. $400,000 is just bringing the ninth graders up. But that cost is 100% athletics. It's an athletic director, an athletic director secretary. There's zero costs in that $1.4 million for education. It came out on the radio yesterday morning that we were at 50% participation in those activities, the activities we currently have. So I don't understand why having more of these kinds of opportunities is going to help kids. I think we should bring those opportunities back in the classroom. Why aren't we spending that $1.4 million in the classroom to provide more educational activities? So that's really my main concern about the second high school. The school board currently says we have the money. We have the money, we've been saving for it. Sure, we have the money today, but what's it going to look like next year or 3 years from now when the funding at the state level catches up to us? And then we have to start cutting back, and I think we should be proactive in that.
All right, well, thanks, Toni. We'll ask you a question here in a little bit about that funding and the future of funding. So before we get there, just another question that really pertains to how we deliver education. And again, a lot of discussion about the schedule for students. And I want to know, can you help us understand what your position is on, do you feel schools can deliver better education to students in a 7-day versus the block system? And maybe even explain a little bit about the differences between those two, and which do you support and why?
Sure. So currently we are on a block schedule. That means that they have, I think, a 5-period day. I'm not really an expert on how they currently work. I'm just been listening to people and the differences of the two. The differences of the two is they're saying on a 7-period day, you're going to have your core classes every day and less elective classes. So I think right now we have a 90-period day with block. You're going to go to a 50-period day for classes on a 7-period day. Over a period of time, they're saying you're going to have more time in core classes. However, depending on how you look at the numbers, and I'm a numbers person, statistics can be swayed how you look at them. So if you look at them one way, you should look at them the other way. So if a minute turns out to be 120 days over a kid's career, that sounds great. But logistically, per day, per class, it's only a couple minutes a day. And I really don't believe a teacher is going to provide a good education in 2 minutes. The other thing is hallway time. We have more passing time in the hallways. And everybody knows hallway time is not necessarily the most.
And I'm going to butt in here for a minute, Toni. So when you say we'll have more time in the hallways, is that with the 7-day schedule?
with the
Okay,
7
I'm just,
period
or
schedule.
7-period schedule, sorry.
Yeah.
They're
And-
never going to want to go 7 days, are they?
Correct. Right, 7-period days, sorry.
Okay.
The other thing is that they say that test scores go up with a 7-period day. But I researched, and there are the 4 top test score schools in Wyoming. 3 out of the 4 of them are on a block schedule. Sheridan, which is number 2, is on a 7-period day. So the argument that the 7-period day increases test scores is not accurate. Maybe for Sheridan, but not for the top 4 schools. So I believe that there's probably not, the block schedule is not an answer, and the 7-period day is not the answer, but somewhere in the middle. We can certainly have more time in core classes on a block schedule. We can be creative with our scheduling and still be able to have those elective classes. So going to a 7-period day, just in the junior highs alone, they're planning on cutting 15 teachers. That's all elective classes. They are talking about no foreign language in 7th and 8th grade and fewer art classes. And so that disturbs me. Again, yeah, we're saving money, which is good because we're going to have a budget issue, but we're probably not saving money in the right places. Elective classes are designed, well, the block schedule is really designed not to teach for 90 minutes. It was designed to teach for half and implement half. So you're there helping them with homework, you're there doing a lab, you're there doing an art project, you're there helping the kids. So most kids struggle with homework at home because parents aren't being taught what they're being taught. So it's hard for a parent to help their kids. So if they can do that homework in school, what better way to implement their homework? In a modified block, this argument that kids miss a day of school, then they miss all these classes. Well, if you modify that so their core classes are still being taught a lot during the week, we can fix that problem. So somewhere in between, teachers and the public weren't involved in this decision either. And I think that's why it's a hot topic again, because people, they didn't even know this decision was made 2 years ago or whenever it was made. And so they're like, what? They're moving forward with that? We never got a chance to talk about it. Teachers are upset. And so we need to bring those teachers in and ask them what's going to work. Students, ask students what they think is going to work. We can't pretend to think that every student's the same. There are some students that are going to go right into the workforce after school. Some students go on to trade school after high school, and some are going to go on to college. We have to make sure that we know the demographics of our kids and make sure those elective classes are helping those kids that are going to go on to work, help those kids that are going to go on to trade school, and help those kids that go on to college. But we can't treat them all the same. And that's where I think this hybrid block schedule will be able to modify a kid's education for their needs.
Okay, Toni, just as clarification, the change in scheduling is it from years 7 through 12?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just so that those listening know exactly who that's applying to. I thought we should clarify that. Well, let's ask a financial question, and we probably have a few minutes left. So as financial constraints hit the state of Wyoming, do you feel full funding for K through 12 education should remain intact? And if so, what other state services or budgets should be reduced?
Well, as a school board member, obviously we want the most money we can have. But realistically, in the climate we're facing, the state is just going to have less money. The county's assessed value that the mill levy's valued on has gone down 33%. That affects school funding across the state. It would not be fair for us to say in Campbell County we would escape the effects of that. Sure, we want education, that budget to remain the same dollar per kid. But if the state's going to be successful, I think we have to participate in those discussions and maybe be prepared for less money. It's not my job to tell the state where to cut their budget. I just think that we have to be proactive as school board members and knowing that it's going to be lower and start planning now for that being lower. We can sure do our work and try to advocate for more money, but I really don't think that money is going to be there to go around.
All right, thanks, Toni. Well, as we finish up, I have one more question for you. And how would you differentiate yourself from opposing candidates? I mean, why should voters pick you to run for school board?
Well, I'm an accountant. I'm a certified public accountant, business owner. I feel like in a lot of boards that I've been on, the finance background, looking at numbers, looking at budgets, understanding how those statistics work is just lacking. I don't think there's anybody on the board that has an accounting background or a business background. Most of them have been in the education system. I think Dr. Falls probably comes from a different perspective. Shane Evans will come from a different perspective. He's in the coal industry. But my background will be accounting and finance. I've been told that I'm a good listener and that I'm approachable, and I think that's important for voters to know that they can come talk to me. I think that the school board needs to be more transparent and be more communicative with people. Talk to teachers, talk to different legislators. I have those relationships. I'm ready to take on the job. I have the time, the passion. Of course, I wouldn't say I have more passion than anybody else that's running, but I'm ready to get to work.
All right. Well, thanks, Toni. Thanks for running for school board. It is a volunteer position. It is elected, but it is not a paid position. So those individuals who choose to run make a big commitment. So thank you very much.
Thank you.